Hey, good morning. God's blessings to you. We are continuing in John chapter 20, looking at the resurrection of our Lord. And we'll begin with verse 11. But Mary, and that's Mary Magdalene. And I think John is playing off of this idea that there are so many Marys. Mary Magdalene, Mary of Bethany, Mary, the mother of Jesus, who, interestingly enough, is never called Mary, but is simply called woman or the mother of Jesus, like in John 2 in the Gospel of John. Depending on how you count, you could conflate some of these depending on who you think various names are. There could be up to 7 different Marys in the New Testament. And I think John is well aware of this. And so I'll point this out here in verse 11. But Mary stood weeping outside the tomb. That sounds like John chapter 11 with Mary of Bethany. Those are 2 different Marys, but they're doing the same thing. And I think part of what John is doing is he is bringing us all the way back to the beginning. 2 different beginnings. To the beginning of the gospel of Jesus, when Jesus was born. So there you have a Mary. But also to the very beginning of the world, Genesis, where there is a garden. And you see lots of parallelisms, and you could play this out, and this is a lot of fun to examine and look at. Both Marys are crying outside of the tomb, and both times Jesus comes to still their fears, and a resurrection will happen in the case of John 11 and Lazarus, and already has happened here in John chapter 20. And so this is how we mourn as Christians. It's okay to cry. Jesus himself wept. We see that in John 11. But Jesus gives us hope. And then he asks the same questions. Hey, who are you looking for? And the answer better be, well, I'm looking for my Lord. I'm looking for Jesus. And of course, he has promised to be right here with us wherever 2 or 3 are gathered in his name, in the scriptures, in the sacrament. Man, it's a wonderful thing being a Christian. Continuing, and as she wept, she stooped to look into the tomb. And she saw 2 angels in white. I think I said this last week. I would tell you in the 4 Gospels who's present at the tomb. Now, keep this in mind. I'm not saying that one is more historically accurate than the other. I think they're all historically accurate. You've got a 4-dimensional view here. So you've got the whole square, if you will, one on every single side. That's what's so useful about having 4 Gospels is we can verify the different points of view. And so depending on when you arrived at the tomb on Easter morning, you might have seen 1 or 2, might have been a man or angels, although they often look alike throughout the scriptures. So, instance, when God shows up with 2 angels to Abram just before Sodom and Gomorrah, we're told it's 2 angels, but they look like men. We're told 3 men appeared to Abram. And so there's no difficulty here at all. Are they men or are they angels? Well, I think they're angels, but they look often like men. Now, part of the disparity might be because the word angelos in Greek also means the word angel. Messenger means the word messenger. So angel means messenger. So for instance, Paul will describe himself as an angelos, a messenger. Or in Revelation, we're told about the angels of the 7 churches. You could take that as a literal angel, or you could take that as the 7 pastors of the 7 churches. There is a distinction between a little angel like the cherubim and pastors, that's true, but their function is the same. They are both messengers for God. Now, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John each tell us a different point of view. They all happened, but they have theological reasons for telling us about who was there. So, for instance, Matthew tells us about 1 angel who was present. Mark tells us about a young man in white, and you can go read Mark 14. He tells us about a young man who ran away, and they took off his robe, so he runs away naked when Jesus was being arrested. And then it so happens that a young man appears in the tomb, not naked, but he has a white robe. Now, I think this is Mark inserting himself here into the Passion. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful story. We're talking about John, so I won't talk too much about Mark. Luke, it's 2 men in dazzling apparel, which brings us back to the Transfiguration and also forward to the Ascension when you've got 2 men who are there. And I think the picture that Luke is painting is that the entire Old Testament, Moses and Elijah, they are present here, witnessing to Christ at the Transfiguration, at Easter, and then at the Ascension. And then you've got John, who tells us 2 angels. And the first time that we see angels in the Bible is Genesis chapter 3, when God placed the cherubim, and I am, im or im in Hebrew, makes it plural. So I don't know how many angels, but we know that it was multiple angels. Could have been 2. Angels there guarding the Garden of Eden. And that's the picture that John is painting, because Mary's going to confuse Jesus for the gardener. Well, she's right, but she doesn't fully realize what she's saying when she confuses that. She doesn't say it, of course. She thinks he's the gardener here in John. John is bringing us all the way back to the Garden of Eden. You've got 2 angels just like that. You've got a garden. It's a new beginning, and that is a beautiful thing for us to embrace. The new day is dawned. We are now people of the sun. This is why we meet on Easter on Sunday mornings rather than Friday nights. Okay, 2 angels in white sitting where the body of Jesus had laid, one at the head and one at the feet. And another place where you get 2 angels is the Ark of the Covenant. You got one on both sides overlooking that mercy seat. And so part of what John is saying is this tomb now, this is the new Ark of the Covenant. This is a new holy place. Verse 13, they said to her, "Woman, why are you weeping?" This mirrors what Jesus has said to his own mother. John chapter 2, wedding at Cana. "Woman, what does this have to do with me? My hour has not yet come." Well, now the hour has come because Jesus has been crucified and resurrected. And Jesus calls his own mother woman at the crucifixion in John chapter 19. "Woman, behold your son." And to bring us back all the way to Genesis, part of the reason they call her a woman is because she is a woman. This is a new creation. You have the man, Jesus Christ. He's the Son of Man. He's the Son of God. And now you have a woman right here. It's a picture of a new Adam and Eve. And I'm not at all saying that they're romantically involved like, what's his name, Dan Brown would say in the Da Vinci Code. But the picture that John is painting, new creation, and then we get this in Matthew chapter 11, "Be fruitful and multiply." What does Jesus say in Matthew chapter 28? He says, "Go therefore and make disciples of all nations." Well, that's the new mandate. Be fruitful and multiply. Make disciples everywhere. She said to them, "They have taken away my Lord." Well, that's great. That's what Thomas is going to say. We'll look at that story next week. Thomas confesses, "My Lord and my God." Both things are true. "And I do not know where they have laid him." Having said this, she turned around and saw Jesus standing. But she did not know that it was Jesus, which is amazing. I don't know exactly what he looked like post-resurrection. We hear about this in Luke 24, where Jesus walks by the disciples on the way to Emmaus, and they don't recognize him. And we're told it was God who prevented them from seeing who he was. And so part of what God likes to do is prevent people from seeing him for a time. Why? To, you could say, extrapolate faith, to play it out, because this is a beautiful, beautiful scene. Jesus is revealing himself to Mary to give her the ultimate faith, and she's going to be a proclaimer of the gospel here and go back to the disciples. Verse 14, saw Jesus standing, but she did not know that it was Jesus. 15, Jesus said to her, "Woman." So there you go. You got it again. Jesus called his own mother, who was Mary, woman, and now he's calling a different Mary, woman. "Why are you weeping? Whom are you seeking?" And whenever Jesus asks questions, he already knows the answers, but he wants to evoke that faith. Supposing him to be the gardener, there it is. And, well, this is the new Garden of Eden, so she's more right than she realizes. She said to him, "Sir, if you have carried him away, tell me where you have laid him, and I will take him away." Jesus said to her, "Mary." And here we go. Because Jesus doesn't call his own mother Mary, he calls her woman. But it's in this personal naming that Mary recognizes who Jesus is. And there's a lot you can do with names in the Bible. But what's clear is this, is that God has called us each by name, and he has given us his name. And Jesus said this, we heard this, a week and a half ago, Matthew chapter 10, "Even the hairs of your head are numbered." He knows our name. He gives us his name in baptism. Our God knows who we are. Very comforting thing. She turned and said to him in Aramaic, "Rabboni," which means teacher. Jesus said to her, "Do not cling to me, for I have not yet ascended to the Father. But go to my brothers and say to them, I am ascending to my Father and your Father, to my God and your God." So he's saying, hey, I've got to get going. We've got 40 days now until the ascension. And don't worry, I'm still going to be with you always until the end of the age, as he says in Matthew 28. And then this is a beautiful echo of the book of Ruth, where Ruth says, "Your God will be my God." And Jesus is equating now. He's saying, my Father is your Father. I'm the Son, and by being included in me, Jesus is saying, God is now your Father. My God, God the Father. You can worship him because I have died for you, because I have been resurrected. Verse 18, Mary Magdalene went and announced to the disciples, I have seen the Lord, and that he said these things to her. So earlier she said, my Lord, and now she's saying the Lord. Both are true. Jesus Christ is the Lord, no doubt about it. The question is, hey, is he your Lord? And this really sets us up well to read the account of Thomas, which we will do next week. And Thomas is going to make that beautiful confession of who Jesus is, my Lord and my God. Thank you. God's blessings to you. Hope to see you soon.